Hello everyone, welcome. Today we're gonna be. All right. Today we're gonna be. Uncle Richard.
Oh, do the intro.
Okay, do. So, okay, hello. Okay, this is Uncle Hassan.
No, Uncle Richard lah.
I'm sorry. It's Uncle Richard. He is a digital marketer. Wait, are we live now?
Yeah.
Okay. He's a digital marketer. Okay, he's a digital marketer and he uses digital stuff.
Markets digital.
Yes. Wait, is he muted or what?
No, I'm here.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. He uses digital stuff to market. Digital to market. Yay.
He uses the internet and YouTube and and likes to advertise stuff. And this
Okay.
is going very well.
Okay.
Very, very well.
Okay. What is your job? What is your
job too?
What is your job?
I'm in front of the computer most of the time. If you ask me, I think put it in a very simple way is I make people buy things online or offline using the internet.
Hello.
So you use the internet to sell stuff.
Here now.
Yeah, in a way, yes.
So okay, how many cats do you have? Just sort of check those.
There's 5.
What are their names?
You have.
What breeds are
Hey,
they?
let him talk about his stuff first.
Yeah, this is doing great. What's your work hour? Work like 7 days a week or 5 days a week?
It depends, right? It depends. So, I mean, most of the time it's somewhat around the clock, but I mean, you can put it as like normal working hours, but sometimes I do have to think about it like at night or over the weekends or whatnot.
So what are your working hours? Are they like 9 to 5 or very late?
No, I think the way we work is very flexible, right? Officially we are 9 to 5, but that's because we set meetings with either with people or whatnot. But otherwise, if we don't have any meetings and stuff like that, it's quite on the flexible end. It's as long as the job is done, as long as the value is delivered, it doesn't really matter what hour we work.
Do you have to like get up in the middle of the night to do a job or no?
Most of the time, no. So I think some people may need to do that. Like in my case, it's like usually when the ads are set up, is that it will just run, and I'm more of like monitoring it every now and then. But for people who really need to like get up in the middle of the night, they are usually I'd say people who are like in public relations, the PR and whatnot. So they have to jump out from the middle of the night if there's a PR crisis. But on my end, no, that's least of my concern. Think of it like I'm on the background. Yeah.
So are you like, what do you use? Do you use Instagram? Do you use Facebook for marketing?
As many channels that would be relevant for a particular business or a particular thing, right? So for example, it's about, so think of digital marketing channels. Like you have your TikTok, you have your YouTube, all these different channels, right? You have your Google. Each of them are like the different cutleries you have on the table, right? You don't use your fork to do everything. So like the fork has its function, the spoon has its function. Different food would require different knife, different fork, and different size of spoon, right? So digital marketing is similar to that. So for different thing, depending on what the business needs, then or how ready it is for certain things, then only you would use certain tools in that case. So think of the channels like as tools. Yeah.
So there's tools you can use, like different, like a pickaxe can mine stone, and then shovel can dig dirt.
Yeah, right. So for example, like if you're it depends on what you sell online, right? So if you're selling something that people don't search for it, so let's say you're selling shirts, baju raya, let's say, right? So it's very seasonal. So search may not be the best way to do it. So you want to do it like a digital, then you're going to be using things like Facebook or Instagram to run on it, or YouTube ads, right? But if you're going for something that potentially at the low volume, people would look for it, but they don't buy it often. For example, things like fire extinguisher, then yeah, Google would be a better place to go. Right. So it depends. Like I said, it's like your cutlery sets. It depends on what you need to handle. So then you select the different channels based on what is the best use of it.
What is like your like work ethic? Like what do you do? Like first thing you do when you start an ad, or
I think, okay, I would say digital marketing, if you want to look into it, right, it's very much like playing chess, right? So every marketer or every digital marketer have access to the same tools, right? We all have the same tools. So just like a game of chess, we all have the same, we all start with the same set pieces, right? But the interesting part where it comes from is that how you move those set pieces to win the game, right? So it's a lot more on your thinking process. It's a lot more on how you play the game rather than what you have on hand. So of course, in the case like for example, let's say in the market you have the small brands, right? You have the small companies like your mom and pop stores. You have your the Garai burger down the street, and then you have the big ones, right? People like selling those detergents that you use at home, like Dynamo, or that toothbrush that you have like Oral-B and stuff like that. So the main difference between these sizes of company is the amount of money they can spend a day on marketing, right? But nonetheless, regardless whether the budget is big or small, there will always be room to play. So that's the exciting part, right? It's literally like playing chess. So for example, imagine if today you're gonna play against Kasparov, how are you gonna go about it, right?
my sister has a question.
What tools do you use mostly?
I think for now, I think if you ask me like in terms of so usually if I were to run on like digital marketing, is that I would use tools that would help me make decisions based on my thinking process, right? So generally Facebook gives us those tools. Google gives us those tools. TikTok, sadly no, so I don't play there. So I don't work on TikTok channels because they don't give me enough information to make my next move, right? So as long as the channels or the platforms give me those tools, then yeah. And these tools depends, right? So I would say like these tools that even the tools that digital marketers use would differ based on the level they're at, right? So for example, let's say if you go to the kitchen, like the normal home kitchen knife is very different. The knives that normal home kitchen use is very different compared to the knives that professional chefs use, right? So I would say when it comes to tools that we use, it differs on that kind of a similarity as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Does your job get especially dangerous?
In what sense? In what sense?
Like losing money or getting your, I don't know, YouTube, Facebook account hacked. Along the lines of that.
I wouldn't say that my job is dangerous. I mean, it's not directly dangerous, but indirectly they may be. So, for example, think of it as digital marketers are very much like an athlete, right? So, in fact, every profession is that you need to behave like an athlete. So you need to be at your peak level, right? But the main challenge that just like anyone that would be working in front of computers or having long hours sitting in front of computers, we tend not to have a very good sitting posture. So I think one thing that I've not been doing consistently is things like working out, strengthening the body and whatnot. So things that you do behind the scene actually affects your performance in that sense, right? Your sleep cycle affects how sharp your mind can be. Things that you eat, the workouts that you do. Like for me, well, to be frank, I have not been taking care of any of those things. So maybe someday I'll need to consider to really look into that.
Did you start looking at digital marketing?
Just by action. So I think I used to do very different things, and I would say that digital marketing is the longest thing that I've done so far, right? So I used to fly planes, right? Then I went to the banking sector, investment banks. I went to work with management consultancy firms, across the board, right? Multiple industries like fast-moving consumer goods and whatnot. Usually, I stay maybe about a year or two, right? And I get bored. So yeah, I get bored very fast. So I think digital marketing is the only thing that I've stayed long enough. So I've been doing this since 2015. So about 6 years now. So, and I think what keeps me going is that things change really fast in digital marketing. What works for you today may not work for you next month, right? So it keeps your mind to be very sharp, right? So for example, let's take a difference. Let's say if you take the job of a pilot, to me it gets boring after a while because, for lack of better words, you're just another glorified bus driver, right? You ferry people around, everything is automated, and there's not much challenge about it, right? So yeah, and it's very structured. You need to have very strict rules to follow, right? So I don't think I fit the job. So the job is great, but it's just not for me. So I guess digital marketing, when I started in 2015, it was a good timing in a way because that was when digital marketing was somewhat still considered young in the Asian region, right? So it allows for a lot of room to actually grow. I mean, you can ask around your friends' parents and whatnot, right? If you look into digital marketing, 5-6 years ago, it's a totally different. Let's not take 5-6 years ago. Let's just take 2 years ago. It's a totally different ball game, right? So, for example, a lot of people will be talking about running things like let's do. I mean, how do I want to put it? Let's take 2 years ago, right? No one would have thought becoming a YouTuber can be a career. No one thought being a YouTuber can be a job, but you can do it now, right? So that's how fast and how different digital has become. So with all these changes, it makes digital marketing a lot more interesting as well, because then it's not about what tools are coming or what new things are coming. It's really about becoming that chess master, thinking about what set pieces do you have now, what are the resources that you have now, and how do you maximize it based on what you want to achieve at the end of the day, right? So it changes very fast. So I like that kind of stuff. Yeah.
What is your hobby?
Like when you're not working.
Here's actually where it gets a bit boring. So I read research papers, I read theses. Maybe once a while, every now and then I'll go and study about coffee. So I guess on my end, to sum it up, my hobby is actually learning new things and learning things that are not related to my work, right? So for example, one weekend I may be learning about coffee as a whole. Another weekend I may be learning about fuel cell battery technologies. Another week I may be reading thesis papers about on other things as well, learning about mathematical models and whatnot. So in short, it's a geeky way. Like my hobbies is tend to be on the geeky side of things.
So you just search in Google random objects and things.
Yes and no. So I think it's about reading books online as well, or just talk to friends who happen to be the experts in those industry.
Why was it
Right.
when you left school? What was what job did you expect yourself to go to?
Nope, I don't have anything, right? So I don't have a particular ambition when I was in high school or even in primary school. So for me, I think it was also very much about like the family upbringing in a way. So my dad never said like you need to be someone or you need to be of a particular job or whatnot. But it's very much about, things change very fast. Just upskill yourself continuously. Right? So, for example, to give you a very simple context here is that I have friends who are doctors, right? But they're good at what they do, no doubt. But if they were not to be doctors today, let's say if today the world don't need doctors, the problem of specialization is that they don't know what to do next, right? So it's the same like like the pandemic of COVID-19 came. Then when the planes are no longer flying, then what are the pilots going to do, right? So I think my approach since I was a kid has been very much of be adaptable, be flexible in that sense, right? I think one thing that's really important is basic skills, like thinking skills is very important. Uh, cooking skill is also very important, right? So let's put it this way: if you can't do it, if there's no job out there, at least if you have cooking skills, you can open a gerai mamak or a gerai nasi lemak, right? Those kind of stuff. So I think basic skills needs to be there.
What's
So I
your
think I was
sorry interrupted you.
Continue.
go on.
What's your most successful digital marketing campaign?
No, I don't have one that's in particular. To me, they are all similar. I mean, there are some campaigns that I failed, but yeah.
How about your favorite?
No, I don't have a favorite as well. So to me, they are all, to a certain extent, I think I enjoy all of them together. Right, I enjoy all of them. So there's no favorite or there's no favorite that or the best that I feel. So they are all unique to me.
What's your most challenging marketing campaign?
Most challenging. I think the most challenging one is actually selling a service, right? Right. Why I say selling a service is like because it's not tangible. You can't feel, you can't touch, you can hold it, right? So selling a service tend to be harder than selling a physical product. Like for example, if today we were to sell quali, right? It's easy. A lot of people wants to buy quali, right? But let's say if we talk about trying to sell using digital marketing to sell things like see your doctor online, a service, right? It's going to be tougher because us as humans, as people, there are certain things that we want it to be face to face, and we don't want to buy it until we see it, touch it, or even have a certain level of trust towards it. So those tend to be the tougher ones.
We can hear the cats in the background just continuously.
Yeah. I mean, one of them just wants to get treats, but too bad the pet shops are not open.
What thing?
What breeds are your cats?
They're a mix, right? So they're all picked up from the street, actually. So yeah, they're all picked up from the street.
So technically Malaysian cat.
Yeah, they're all local.
There's a question in the chat saying, do you play chess?
I used to, but I think in terms of the different versions of it, I think I like the most is it's a form of Chinese chess. It's called Weiqi, or maybe some people may know it as the game of Go, right? The black and white dots.
Yeah, I like
Yeah. So Yeah, I mean, I played multiple versions of chess before, but I think Go is the game that I enjoyed the most because it's because the concept of that version of chess is very different compared to your typical English chess or your typical Chinese chess, right? So yeah, I mean, to put it in a very simple manner, if you look into English chess or the typical Chinese chess is, you know what you are starting with. It's all laid out, right? And because the chessboard is smaller, so usually the best players are the ones that can memorize the most moves in their head, right? So the game of Go is different. There's no such thing as a book where you can memorize all the moves. So it's the unpredictability is there.
Very interesting. Very changing cases.
Are you a Corona tracker? Somebody Google you and they got Corona tracker.
Oh yeah, it's a project that I was that I've been actively doing, right? So that's one of the things I've been doing since COVID started. The one is a very interesting project, right? So what happened was last year during Chinese New Year, we heard news, there's something new coming up in China. So what we did was we developed a solution, right? It's a free solution for everyone to use, and we built it. And then my role in that project was, how do we get the world to use it, right? So yeah, I mean, from a digital marketing perspective, do we run ads on that? Nope, we did not run any ads. But how do we get more people to use it would be very simple things like having the website to be translated into multiple languages. So I think in short, right, so you have 295 countries in the world, right? Let's assume one country is one language, which is not the case usually. You'll need to have, I mean, some people may think you need to have 200 own languages, but I know for you to get the world to actually understand your website, you only need about 7 or 8 years. That's all you need.
Interesting. But some companies go overboard and just make like all the languages in the world.
Yeah, you don't need to, right? So because the thing is, there would be common languages that multiple countries speak, right? So for example, if you speak Spanish, like South America is yours, right? And Southern Europe is yours. So that's like easily another 20, 30 countries there, right? If you can speak Chinese, as in like Mandarin, you have half the world, right? You have English, you have another maybe 1/3 of the world. So you don't need to have hundreds of languages to be supported on the website. You only need about 7 or 8, and that's enough to cover the world, right? For example, let's say like India, it's a big country, right? But you only need 2 languages, Hindi and Tamil. That's all you need.
What does a Corona tracker do other than track Corona?
That's the only thing it does, right? So what it does is that it collects information from all around the world at the country level, so that people can have like accurate and also up-to-date information.
Did you make my Sujatra?
Pardon?
Did you
make
you-
the app you use the government invented to
No, that's not me.
Do you know any programming languages?
Sorry?
Do you know how to program?
Yes and no. So I used to program until I was about 15 years old. Then I stopped programming. But I think that now is that I'm not able to execute or code it. But if you were to say to speak with developers in terms of what frameworks to use, what language, or the approach towards building a software, that's something I can still do. Rather all right, I would say. Yeah. But coding, no, like doing the codes down, that's not something I can do now. I'll be very slow.
Do you like your job? If yes, then why?
I wouldn't say I like my job, because I think at the end of the day, I like what I do because of what it delivers to people around me, right? So I think I like it because it fits what I personally like, right? Which is I like, I like the game of Go, right? So it's a lot of thinking. It's a lot of like, how do you strategize? How do you change things depending on the situation, right? So I'm that kind of person. So this job happens to fit that. So I guess rather than liking the job, it's more of the things in the job is what I like. So if I'm not doing digital marketing today, if there's another job that requires similar skill set, that would be something that I may enjoy doing as well. Yeah.
What's the most famous brand you advertised?
I did something for Samsung before. I did something for L'Oreal as a whole. By L'Oreal, I mean the 13 brands under them, right? All of their brands. Yeah. So these, I think, if you talk about big brands, these are the usual big ones. But generally, I like to work with smaller brands. Personally, I think the difference is the smaller brands are able to move a lot faster. So think of it, right? Like big brands are like elephants. An elephant can't move as fast as a cheetah, right? Yeah, so I would say that kind of analogy of it.
So the giant tank was a small mouse.
Yeah, yeah. A mouse is a lot faster. It's a lot easier to move around, right? But if you have a giant tank, it takes time to move them, and because you have to move so many people in the company to get certain things done, it gets a bit too slow. So yeah.
Is there any like do you need to know any skills before being a digital marketer?
I would say that when it comes to digital marketing, you only need one skill, right? No, two. I would say two. The first one is that you need to be inquisitive, as in you need to ask a lot of questions to either yourself or on Google to find out how to do certain things, right? It's about being resourceful, right? And second, I would say that it's your problem solving skills, right? So, and I would say that these two skills are very important. Right? Because if you talk about how to learn use easy, but learning how to think like to solve problems, I think that is something that you need to learn since young. It's not something that happens suddenly, right? Yeah.
How do you actually do your job? Like, do you need to like program, or do you need to like, I don't know, how do you actually do it?
We work with something that a lot of people don't like to do. It's called Excel sheets, right? That's where we try to find answers to the questions we have. So I guess at the end of the day, I think in a very simple way to put it is that the computers we use tend to be quite powerful because we need a lot of computing power to calculate things. Like I would say that most people when they do their job, I mean most people generally, maybe you're just opening a simple Word document, PowerPoint, Excel, or even when you're online, you're only opening maybe about 5 to 10 tabs, right, on your browser. The way I work, I run about 100 tabs, right? I run at about simultaneously about 100 tabs. My Excel sheets tend to be intermediate to advanced level. Yeah, those kind of stuff. So I think in a way, right? If you say like, if you take digital market, because digital marketing is, I would say it's okay. So most people would say that you need to specialize in something, right, to become successful. Digital marketing is a total opposite. You need to know enough of a lot of things. Then only you can specialize in digital marketing. right? So for example, for you to be a doctor, very likely you need to know the topic of the human body very well, right? So for example, like chemistry, whatnot, everything that has to do with the human body. But when it comes to digital marketing, it's a combination of science and art. Some things are not very straightforward. So you have the human psychology to understand. For example, what kind of image or when do people buy, or what makes people buy certain things, right? So that's like the art side of it. Then you have to understand things like the economy, right? Because the economy determines how you want to run certain campaigns. You would need to know things like I would say a very structured problem-solving skill, which usually management consultants would have, right? If you have uh, heard of companies like Accenture, McKinsey, like these management consultancy companies, then those are the skill sets that you need to have when you become a digital marketer. So it's a jack of all trades in a way, so that you build your own specialty. So it's not something you can learn from universities or colleges or even schools directly. You have to jump around.
Digital marketing sounds like a job you can do alone. Do you work with anybody else other than clients?
A few things, right? So it's a mix. I have some of the things are on my own. I have some clients, but digital marketing aside, because there are certain gaps, I would say, in digital marketing where the technology is not there yet. So I'm building softwares as well to solve that. Yeah. So there's quite a few things that I'm doing currently.
What software are you making to make digital marketing easier?
Two things actually. So two things generally, right? So digital marketing is good in measuring what happens online. But what if people happen to see the ads online, but they buy it offline, right? So that's the gap there. So that's one that I'm solving. Another one I'm solving is it's remember I mentioned a lot like Excel sheet and whatnot. So that's where we find answers. So the other software I'm building is something like that, but so that we don't need to time finding the answers.
When is the software going to be ready?
We have it somewhat ready at the current moment, so there are people paying for it already, using it, just that it's not ready for like sudden mass release or for a lot of people to use it yet.
Like a beta.
Yeah, you can call it beta.
Will you ever get bored of digital marketing?
I'm not sure on that. I think digital marketing side, the thing that I really like as a whole or doing is marketing as a whole. Digital is just a way of doing marketing, that's all.
Any other ways of marketing are there?
Generally, there's two. You have offline and you have online. The ones that most people talk about is online. But I guess the beauty of marketing as a whole is it's how I think the core, the key of marketing, what I like about it is what it be done. That's at the end of the day, marketing is effective communication. That's what I like about it, right? So think of it as if you have a product, you have something, and you want people to use it, you want people to buy it. That unique process, that is marketing. Right? How do you build your stuff, right? So do you want to? So for example, if you're going to build a toy today, are you going to use pink color? Are you going to use blue? Are you going to use red? Marketing considerations go in, right? Do you want to sell at 10 ringgit? Do you want to sell at 20? Then that's where also marketing considerations come in. Do you want to sell it in Setapak? Do you want to sell it in Kuala Lumpur? Do you want to sell it in Perlis? Those are also marketing considerations, right? So marketing is a very broad topic. in a sense. So I would say that if in general people would say that economy is the mother of business, then marketing is a close uncle, right? It's a very close uncle to business as a whole.
Would you change your job if you could like with your skills? Would you like change your other job?
At the current moment, no. I don't think of changing it. Because like I said, right, it's something that I've been doing long enough that it keeps changing. It's a field that has been changing all the time. So that's what is keeping me in it. Yeah.
When did you start doing digital marketing?
2015. So that's about 6 years ago. No, wait. 2013. Yeah, 2013.
What was your first marketing campaign?
It was something that's very boring. It was email marketing. So technically, it's how do you use email to get people to buy things. Yeah. So yeah, that was the first thing that I did in digital marketing, right? So it's using that. Yeah.
Will digital marketing be the only marketing way?
No, right? Because why is because at the end of the day, we have to look at it as a. I mean, the example that I would use for this, or the analogy that I would use for this, is that some people may say certain digital marketing channels would no longer be there, or certain forms of marketing would no longer be there. For example, like some people may say offline or traditional marketing may not be around anymore, right? But if we look into it as a bigger picture, there's this one offline marketing practice called trade marketing, trading, right? Trade marketing. That is something that digital can never ever replace. Why? Because trade marketing is on how you. Okay, so when you go to Aeon, when you go to Giant, like all these hypermarket, or you go to stores, right? You see the products, correct? And you will notice that different product is at different height, right? At different locations of the shelf, right? And some of them have paper banners, some of them don't, and whatnot. That's trade marketing, because people will still buy offline, and that's where trade marketing, which is a component of traditional marketing, plays a very vital role. Is that how do you place your product where and whatnot? That's trade marketing, and that will never go away. In fact, trade marketers are very highly paid.
Are you famous?
Sorry?
Are you famous?
No, I don't think so.
Does it get really stressful in your job?
Depends on how you define it, right? I would say that any job will come with stress. Any job will come with stress.
How much money do you make? So in the chat says.
Sorry?
How much money do you make?
In the chat.
On a what?
Someone in the chat is asking how
Uh-huh.
much money do you make?
If you ask me now, not much, because I am reinvesting a lot of it. I would say at the current moment about 4,000 ringgit a month, not much. But let's say but that's me, right? But if you talk about the normal digital marketer in the market, if they're doing what I'm doing now, they can easily take home 15 to 25,000 ringgit a month, easily. Yeah.
Is it hard to do digital marketing?
It will be hard if you don't have the brain power, because I would just put it that way. If you're not good at problem solving, if you're not good at finding troubleshooting, if you're not resourceful, then it will become very hard. But otherwise, it's quite relatively easy.
Okay. Any problems in your job?
Sorry?
Any like big problems you want to solve?
Mm. Well, digital marketing as a job, I don't think there's much problem to solve. It's always the main problem that we're solving for people is how do we communicate with customers and whatnot online. That's all. Yeah, there's no special problems that we're solving.
Do customers blame you if you don't make enough money?
Okay, so you see, so some customers, so usually these are the kind of people that we prefer not to work with, is some people may think that digital is a silver bullet. They may think that it's magic. You go online, you get sales. No, it doesn't work that way, right? Like I said, it's like a game of chess, right? That you sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. But the key here is how do you, on the long term, still win, right? So it's a long term thing. It's not something that you get on and it helps you make money immediately. Because if digital marketing is really that magical, I don't think we need clients. We just do it for ourselves. Yeah, and I will also say that if it's really that magical, everyone would be having a very good time now.
Like people will make too much money.
Sorry?
Like if it's that powerful, then people will just use it and not do any job.
It depends, right? It depends. So I would say that I mean that's a separate topic in terms of like creation of wealth. It still depends on the skill set that you have. But at the end of the day, if you ask me, if someone was to take digital marketing as a career, how much money you're gonna make at the end of the day depends on your negotiation skills. Why I say so is because you may be good at doing digital marketing, but if you're bad at negotiating your salary, you're not gonna go anywhere. Yeah.
Interesting. Do you get to choose who you work with?
Yes. We tend to choose who we work with because at the end of the day, we prefer people who is willing to learn or understand how digital marketing works rather than forcefully think that it's magic. Right? Because I put it this way, right? Like I don't know about the other people out there, but I don't like to work with difficult people, right? So if they're gonna make life difficult for me, then I think I have the right to not take them in as a client. They can go bother someone else, not me.
What's the hardest client you have to work with?
It's a relatively big brand. But yeah, I'm glad I'm not working with them anymore.
Is the pay good? With a big brand.
I would say it's not enough. It's not it. The pay. I put it this way, right? It's not worth the headache you're getting every day.
I understand.
Right? If you look into it, right? So I think this is, yeah. This is where it goes, right? For example, if you have someone that's very hard to work with, right? Maybe for 1,500 ringgit, you still continue because you need the money. But there's a limit where there is no additional amount would keep you there because you can just find a job somewhere else.
So people engage you on a project basis or hour?
It's a mix. But generally, I would prefer it to be on a longer term basis because what I would share with them is that digital marketing is not something that you that you get in 1 month or two. Sometimes it takes 3 months, sometimes it takes 6 months or even longer for you to have meaningful result, right? So why I say so is because people tend to, like I said, like people tend to think you go on digital, you're gonna make tons of money on day one. It doesn't happen that way, right? So a lot of times when we work with people is that the first month or two, it's a lot about fundamentals and also the setting up of things before even they start generating revenue in that sense. It's building the foundations.
Yeah. Right.
What is your strategy to win customers when there's so many digital marketers around?
I think the difference is very much of at the end of the day, it's very much of a thinking process, right? It's very much of, it's about building authority, right? So it's not who is the best, but who is the one that is communicating clearly or to the people that you want to work with, right? And yeah, like I said, there would be some customers that I don't want to work with. So I only want to attract the people that I want to work with, right? So my approach may differ compared to other people.
What software do you use to like?
Me, I use Facebook. That's the main thing I use.
How do you market yourself to the marketer?
I think how I do it myself is very much I think, okay, so I think what works for me is I go very transparent on my thought process. Let's say if I have a client, right, so, or someone that I work with, I would usually put it as most of the things you can lie yourself, right? The only reason you're looking for me is because either you don't have the time to do it or you don't have the people, really because you don't want to spend time doing it, but you already know how to do it, right? Because why is that important? Is because it's difficult to work with people who don't know what you're doing, right? So if we can speak on the same language and we can have the same expectations, similar expectations, then yeah, then we can work as partners. Otherwise, it's going to be a tough one. Because at the end of the day, if you ask me now, can anyone become a digital marketer? Yes, because there's a lot of free resources online for you to learn how to do it. But the difference between a good one and an average one, it's usually the thinking process they use to solve a problem.
How old were you when you started?
Sorry?
He started in 2013. I think he's asking age.
Yeah, ask how old were you when you started?
2013, I think, wait, let me count. I think I was what, 22? Somewhere there? Yeah, I graduated university late, so.
Uncle lah, Coco lah, this one. So yeah.
Okay. Do you think we are lacking in skills in terms of digital marketing for Malaysia as a whole? Someone in the chat is asking.
Okay, I'll put it this way. In terms of basic digital marketing, I think we have that's not lacking, right? I mean, everyone knows Facebook. Everyone somewhat knows how to use Facebook to do marketing. Almost all businesses would some Instagram, Facebook, like the basic level. I think people know it, but to do it, not many. Yeah, I would say that it's just a handful. Yeah, it's mainly because it's more of like I mean, think of it like playing chess, right? So different levels of chess you have. So elite chess players, like the level of Kasparov, which is some people may call it like the god level, right, of chess players. There's only a few of them. But if you talk about chess players in general, yeah, you have a lot of chess players globally. But the really good ones, there's only a few of them. And if you ask me now, Malaysia, we don't have many that are good. Yeah, we don't have many that are really good in that sense.
Any notable ones?
Sorry?
Any notable digital marketers in Malaysia?
Like digital marketers is like we are like X-Men, you know, like we can walk in the public and people don't know we exist. So like for example, very good digital marketers, some of them they're all the way in Kelantan hiding, right? Or some of them are in Terengganu hiding because you can do the work remotely. You don't need to be in an office. So they are serving customers or clients in Kuala Lumpur, but they're actually in Kelantan, they're in Terengganu, those kind of stuff. But generally, are any of them famous? Well, not exactly famous that everyone knows them, but we sort of know each other in a sense.
Is it a small, what do you call it? Small scene or a very big scene? Everybody knows everybody.
I would say to a certain extent, everyone knows everyone. It's just like the same as any industry, right? Like today, if you're gonna go and ask a pilot if they know so and so captain, very likely they would know. So as long as you're long enough in the industry, you end up knowing people.
Yeah.
That's a good question. What do you do in digital marketing?
You should not overpromise.
Okay.
Like 15 million an hour is very fast money. Making, oh my god, so fast.
Yeah, I mean there's some digital marketers that I really cannot take them up. Like I cannot take them seriously. Is they will just come to you and say, you know what, they can do Facebook ads and they will help you make a lot of like they can help you improve your business and whatnot. But I'm like, you know, the thing about marketing is that every business is different, right? So unless they understand the business that they're in, it's sometimes you don't they may not have the right solution for this. Some businesses you don't need digital marketing at all, or you just need very basic ones, right? For example, it's like if it's a gerai burger at the street side, can you do digital marketing? You can. Is it very simple? Yeah, it's a very simple one, right? There's nothing special, fancy, or difficult about it, right? A warung burger may only need to spend five ringgit a day. That's all, and they can increase their sales by quite an amount, right? Because all they need is for people to know that they are open and they're there. That's all, right? But the case is very different if you are selling baju kurung, as an example. So every business, even if they're in the same industry, they are still unique. So anyone who promises results without speaking to the business owner and understanding the business, that to me is already borderline overpromising.
So sometimes I see this like this FBS guru saying like, oh, hire me or learn from me. I will give you a not digital marketers like that.
Okay, I would put this way, right? Some people are good at teaching, that's why they are teachers. Some people are good at executing, that's why they need what things and things, right? If you ask me if when process like that are made, the one you mentioned, most of the time what I teach in their courses, you can find it for free online. Yeah, that most of the time the things that you learn from them, you can actually find it online. But I think the thing about the Malaysian market or the Asian market as a whole is that kita malas membaca, kita malas mencari, kita malas nak fikir, right? Everything, yeah, it's like everything you nak orang suap, right? Orang dah suap, you nak orang tolong hadamkan. Dah hadam, you nak orang tolong berakkan sekali. Technically, you try to make more money as a person, but you don't want to do anything about it. Right? You want to take the shortcut. Right? Yeah, it's like the common reason that I hear why people say that they want to go for this kind of like guru or whatnot. It's like, oh, because Facebook punya things are in English. I'm like, kamus Dewan bahasa ada apa? You can translate yourself, learn the language lah, apa susah, right? Those kind of stuff.
So
So
like,
yeah,
like really
sorry?
like are there really like professional courses, like, you know, like legit digital marketing courses that you suggest? Someone is asking on the chat.
Generally they are. But like I said, right? So most of the digital marketing courses out there are very basic level. Things that you literally can learn free. Why I say free is because Facebook is giving their own digital marketing courses and certification on how to use Facebook. Google is giving their own as well, right? I can share the link over with Adrian later so that he can share with everyone. Like Google and Facebook have their own academy or online courses that is free on how to do digital marketing using their platform. Yeah, and you if you've been to any guru, right, you'll notice what you learn from these two platforms or these two academies is very likely the same thing, right? Yeah, so what you're going to learn from like Facebook or Google in their academy is it's about the tools they're going to have. So think of it like if you want to play a game of chess, you need to know the role of each of the pieces. How does a pawn move? How does a knight move? How does a queen? How does a bishop move? You need to know the pieces, right? That's what you learn in these academies. Now that's I would call it rather like basic kind of stuff, right? Of course, there are more intermediate or advanced level things that Facebook or Google would offer in their courses as well, and it's free as well, and you get certification from it as well, and those will be more applicable if you are really looking into be very specialized in certain things, right? But otherwise, the basic ones are there. So learn the basics and stuff from these two academy. It's more than enough to become a good digital entry level or a basic digital marketer. And then the next level is very much how do you sharpen your thinking process in terms of the intermediate advanced level. I mean, there are some that are good, right? So like for advanced Facebook marketers, there's one that can be referenced. There's this guy called John Loomer, right? I think he's in the US or something. So his online courses or his group of students or his teachers are very much of advanced Facebook marketing, right? Most people don't need the advanced skills unless you're spending like 5-6 digit a month, right? Yeah, on marketing itself. Unless you're spending a lot of money on marketing, you don't need to go to that level. Yeah, because if you ask me, most businesses, you only need the basic ones. Nothing fancy, right? Yeah.
Any last words
For the audience, we're wrapping up.
Okay. Nah, I think if anyone is considering this as a career, I would say that it's not difficult. It's definitely a certain challenge towards it because of the people that you're going to be working with. But yeah, there's a lot of free resources online for you to learn.
Right.
And it's all free, right? It's all free. So skip the gurus for now if you're just starting out. And when you're looking for intermediate advanced, then maybe. But as a start, there's no need for that.
So you're a self-taught digital marketer, is it? I didn't join the kids in the beginning.
Yeah. I'm actually self-taught.
Great.
I'm actually self-taught. Yeah.
Interesting.
So like when people tell me like do you have certificate and whatnot, I'm like nope, I don't have.
I can show you the money I have made before.
I mean that's the thing, right? So is certificate important for what I'm doing now. It's not because people employ me or they look for me for the results, right?
Yeah.
But if you are someone that is starting out, yeah, maybe a certificate from Facebook or from Google may help you in a sense to show that you understand how these platforms work, right? But it's the same as how you would, I mean, as adults, you know, now that all of us are in our 30s and 40s, right?
Yeah.
When we were like in our 17, 18, SPM is the most important cert that we need.
Yeah.
No one talks about that. Like if we go and look for a job now, right? No one cares if you fail everything in SPM,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, so yeah, I mean to me it's fine. It's okay to not have a cert as long as you build the skill set and you build the thinking process towards it.
Right.
I stopped it.
Thanks.
I stopped it already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Thanks everyone for watching. Please join. Thank
Thank you,
you,
Uncle.
Uncle Richard,
I'm so confused.
for the sharing session today. Tomorrow at the same time, 8:30 Malaysian time, we're gonna have Sam from Pitchin.my talking about raising funds. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Now we have to stop this
Thank you.
podcast, which have nothing. Help,
Thank
mommy, Mayday, and so help.